Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named 𝖍𝖗e𝖘𝖔3 in the relationship subreddit. The post is titled, "My wife had a threesome with her best friend and husband years ago. They want to do it again. I don't want them around us anymore. I've known this for a long time, but when my wife was younger, she had a few threesomes with her best friend and her friend's husband. This was years before we even met, and she told me early in our relationship, just so there would be no secrets. I've never had a problem with my wife being around her best friend alone since the threesome didn't involve much girl-on-girl action, but rather sharing her boyfriend. For that reason, I've had trouble throughout our marriage being around both of them. I just have difficulty having a normal conversation knowing that this guy has had sex with my wife. My wife doesn't think anything of it and is completely comfortable. It's just something she did for a little while and then stopped because she wasn't into it anymore once the taboo thrill wore off. She can even talk about it with them as casually as she talks about a concert they went to. However, she doesn't do this when I'm around because she knows it makes me uncomfortable. Anyway, we were all together last weekend and her friend had gotten a little drunk and brought it up. My wife quickly shut her down, but the impression I got was that there had been a lengthier conversation leading up to this that I didn't know about. Later on, my wife told me that her friend and her husband had asked if she and I were interested in doing something. They were down for whatever we were comfortable with, but my wife admitted that they really wanted her again, but with me watching. My wife knows there is no way in hell I would be down for that, and neither would she. My wife stopped doing that with them for a reason, and that was before she got married and had kids. My wife has told me to just forget they said anything, but holy shit, how can I do that now? I swallowed my discomfort while being around them when these incidents were well in the past. But now that they are openly lusting after my wife, I don't know if I feel comfortable with either her or me being around them. Am I wrong here? How do I navigate this? I don't want to tell my wife to break off her friendship, but something needs to be done. Edit. Thanks for all the comments. I'm glad I'm not blowing this out of proportion and that my response is normal. For context, I do want to add that they were together 3 times and my wife stopped it simply because she lost interest. She only participated because her friend was bragging about her boyfriend's skill in the bedroom and insisted that she try it. She did, and she found that no amount of skill could overcome the fact that she wasn't very attracted to him. My wife also really isn't into girls. She participated with her friend, but it was a first and last for her, just not her thing. So I really am not worried about her doing anything with them because she had ample opportunity before we met and she passed. Also, a lot of people are criticizing my wife for not telling me about the conversation, but I'm actually fine with that. She said no for both of us. I'm not angry at her for that. I'm angry at them for trying to basically cuck me. User The Burning Quill said, "In swinger circles, this is considered wife poaching and would be a reason to cut ties immediately. In the vanilla world, it is a more serious breach. You are in a monogamous relationship and that makes it out of bounds. Your wife is also not blameless here. She should have shut this down immediately. Explain that your trust is broken and you cannot feel comfortable with her friends and her interacting after this. She can process her reaction from there and it will tell you everything about the real strength of your relationship." User Demonic Snow said, "Swingers have a term for this. Wife poaching, and it's a reason to drop couples you interact with. The fact that swingers consider it disrespectful means a more vanilla couple should see this as a big red flag. They clearly don't see you as a person in this scenario. It's incredibly disrespectful to have brought it up in that way." I've been in situations where I asked another couple if they might be interested, but it's always a package deal. This is gross. I don't think you're wrong to want to cut ties or at least not engage with them for a while, including your wife's hangouts with her best friend. User Taco Strong said that friendship needs to end or your marriage will. She needs to choose wisely. To this user, Alaskan Snow Dragon said, "This is the only answer. For God's sake, OP, have a spine and speak up for yourself. In my opinion, you were foolish to enter into a relationship with someone who was still close friends with them. You were even more foolish for putting up with it when they would openly talk about it. And you're the most foolish now for not clearly realizing what the solution is." Update. After I posted, I had a deeper conversation with my wife about her friends and expressed my discomfort about being around people who are lusting after my wife and fantasizing about having sex with her in front of me. She said she understood how I felt, but told me that there was absolutely nothing I should be concerned about. To my wife, her friend and her husband are not serious people. They are fun to be around, but that's it. She experimented with them in her early 20s, but she was a different person then. She was very sexually adventurous in college and right after, and she did a lot of things she'd never think of doing now. She said she is a 35-year-old married mother of 2 with a serious career, and she simply isn't interested in behaving like that anymore. Not to mention that she is happily married and loves me. While I understood all that and I do trust her, I told her that my point still stands. I am just not comfortable around them. My wife then asked if we could talk it out with her friends, and if after that talk I'm still uncomfortable, then she will agree to whatever I'm comfortable with. So I agreed and we met last night at our house. They both apologized and swore to never bring it up again, but I can tell that neither of them thinks this is a big deal, and from their tone it seems like they think I am being overly sensitive. So I raised that point and they conceded that they do think I am being silly. They told me that the time they had with my wife was a very memorable experience that they wanted to repeat, and they simply asked if my wife would be interested in participating with me or with my approval. They said they would have been happy to allow me to participate in any way I liked, but admitted that their biggest fantasy was to basically double team my wife while I watched. But my wife had no interest. They confirmed that she shut it down quickly. They brought it up later while they were drunk because they figured maybe I would have some interest, and if I did, I could convince her to do it. My wife's friend then said that once I let go of my inhibitions, she guarantees that I would enjoy myself. How they think I would enjoy any experience that involves someone else having sex with my wife, whether I am actively involved or not, is beyond me. I was about to say this when my wife jumped in. She told them that I will not be enjoying anything. She said she's not 22 anymore and has babies asleep upstairs. She told them that neither of us will be having sex with anyone else and that she thought she made that very clear. It got a little awkward after that, and they left shortly after. My wife hugged me when they left and said she was sorry for asking me to talk with them. That was not how she expected it to go. We talked a little more, and she admitted that hearing their stories is a fun escape and even felt flattered when they would tell her how much they loved being with her. But she admitted that it's become a little too real and she could not stand the thought of watching me with someone else. She understands how I feel. So we agreed to take a good long break from seeing them. My wife isn't going to completely cut her best friend out of her life, but we are going to manage how we see them. No more drinking, no more her being alone with both of them in their home or ours. Shopping, lunch, and similar activities are where she is going to keep the friendship, and I can live with that. This next story was made in the 𝖍𝖗 subreddit by a user named 𝖍𝖗3. The post is titled 𝖍𝖗 for telling my husband that I don't want to be a single mom of 3 kids. So my husband and I have been married for 12 years. We have 2 kids. Our marriage is not great. His mother and sister often give unsolicited advice on my parenting, our marriage, and life in general. It has been better in the last few months since I sat down with my husband. We talked, and this time he listened, so they backed off. Not completely, but it is better. In the last few weeks, my husband started mentioning having a 3rd child, which fills me with dread. I love children and have always wanted a big family, but it would be too much. I cook, clean, take care of the kids, and work part-time from home. He doesn't really help with the house nor with the kids. I changed all the diapers, woke up at night, took care of fevers, doctor appointments, school, play dates, everything. The mere thought of going through another pregnancy and then taking care of a baby makes me want to cry. I know I would have to do it all practically alone because my husband believes that he provides and that women have been doing it for centuries. I should pull my weight and not be spoiled. It all culminated last night. After another one of his "I take great care of you and the kids and we should have a 3rd" monologues, I snapped. I told him that he really doesn't. The kids barely know him. When he comes home from work, he doesn't pay attention to them except to snap at our daughter when she is too loud. He doesn't know anything about our days because he doesn't ask, and I stopped telling him because he wasn't listening anyway. He is not a great father or husband as he likes to preach, and I have no desire to be a single mom of a 3rd child. 2 are quite enough, thank you. He stared at me dumbfounded, called me a C-word, said I was delusional and ungrateful, then stormed out to his mother's house. So, am I the asshole? User Far Librarian said NTA. I am sorry, but your marriage seems miserable. It's like your husband is living in 1950. Considering the age at which you married him, it is not surprising that he found someone very young to fulfill his picket fence dream and doesn't care whether you are happy or not. User 2NPack said NTA, but you already are a single mom to 3 kids. To this user, 𝖙𝖍𝖗𝖊e𝖘𝖔𝖒3 said, if she gets divorced, it's one less child to take care of. Her life would be much easier and more peaceful. It sounds like he's the bratty kid in this household anyway. Update. I wanted to update everyone since a lot of people were worried about me and a lot has happened. For those who don't want to read a long post, things turned ugly, but I am safe. And I have decided to get a divorce since my husband and I couldn't agree on how a marriage should look. Now for a long update. The morning after I made this post, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law showed up at my house. At this point, there was still no word from my husband, let's call him Ray. It was obvious that they expected me to be alone. So we all sat down to have a conversation. I know I was being annoying, but I kept repeating that I didn't see the point of this. The conversation should happen between Ray and me. We are grown-ups and married. I didn't see a reason for them to meddle. They took great offense to that. My email at one point said that she doesn't understand what happened to me. I am not the girl her son married anymore. I said, of course I'm not. He married a teenager and I'm now a grown woman. She turned beet red and started screaming at me, to which M said she was going to call the police if she didn't calm down. After a few insults, they left. Ray showed up a few hours later, not to ask about our children or to see how I was doing, but to berate me for how I treated his mother. Again, I think M being there changed his plan since he toned it down when she came downstairs. He demanded that she leave, she refused, and said that she was going upstairs so we could have a conversation, but she was not going anywhere until I asked her to, which I didn't. He started by basically saying that I am a bad wife, that I don't love him since I don't want more kids, and that I blamed him for it. He said I shouldn't be speaking to him like that. He is a great father to our kids, etc. I asked which kids. The kids he hasn't seen in 3 days. He didn't even ask how they were or where they were. He then freaked out when I told him they were at Bill and M's house, calling them both vile names that I don't want to repeat. Our conversation lasted an hour and nothing productive came out of it. We were going in circles. I was scared because he multiple times started grinding his teeth and putting his hands into fists, but he would calm down after a few seconds. I said if he is not willing to work on our marriage and thinks that he is completely in the right, we should get a divorce. At first he said fine. If that's what I wanted, I should pack my stuff and leave. I started packing while he ranted about how I'm going to live without him and how he can't wait for me to explain to the kids why they are moving and similar things. I said that the kids are not moving anywhere. They are staying in the house and whichever parent stays here is taking care of them. He really couldn't comprehend what I was saying. I am not turning our kids' lives upside down. Divorce is enough of a change. They are not going anywhere. Then his tune changed. He was willing to hear me out. I swear I thought I was going to pop a blood vessel from rage. I said I don't care anymore. We are getting a divorce. The only questions are about logistics and our kids. To not make this post even longer, this also went in circles. Then he grabbed my shoulders and started shaking me. M got involved and they started pushing each other, so I called the police. We managed to push him through the door and locked it. He left before the police came. We gave statements and I stayed at the house. I am fine, but M has a few scratches. Currently, I'm bombarded with texts from his family, but again, not a peep from him. I am filing for divorce. I don't know why I thought that this could end any differently, but I'm also glad that I tried. For those who found my previous posts, I am ashamed of how I was speaking about M. I was envious until I realized that I was projecting my unhappiness with my life onto her. She didn't deserve it. She was and still is an amazing sister and an even better person. Thank you all. I received amazing advice and words of encouragement. The internet can also be full of wonderful people, and I'm grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, GamerSupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.